Folks, according to the latest Zillow data, we're in the middle of a major housing market shift. And when I dug into the numbers, I found over 1,000 counties nationwide where home prices are declining. In some markets, the price drops are accelerating. And in others, we're seeing the very first cracks forming. Either way, these are the clearest signs yet that the housing market is weakening. And make no mistake, sellers are feeling the pressure. For example, Lee County, Florida home values are imploding, down 10% year over year, but they're down 15% in the last 3 years. But the doom continues as you move up north into Essex County, New York, where home prices are down 9% year over year. Two counties, two big losses. But the real question is, where are home prices crashing the most? Why are they crashing? And where are prices still defying gravity and climbing upwards? Let's dig into the latest data from Zillow and Resi Club Analytics and find out. So if you look at this map from Resi Club that shows county level active homes for sale, August 2019 versus August 2025, you can easily see that the Northeast, the Midwest, they are brown, meaning they have fewer homes for sale, generally speaking, than in 2019. But if you go down to Texas, down into Florida, out west, you can see that inventory is growing past the 2019 levels. And keep that in mind as we go through these counties today. Because as I talk about a particular county, I'm going to look at prices and the inventory so you can get a sense of what's happening behind the scenes, why prices may be going down or up. We're going to start our tour of pain in California, the Bay Area. San Francisco home prices have cratered 16% since their peak back in 2022. Now, they are down just 1.2% year over year, but make no mistake, they continue to fall. In fact, they've been down over the last 6 years. Now, let's go back to Lee County, Florida, that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, where the home prices are down 15% in the last 3 years, down 10% in the last year. Let's look at inventory, see if we can see any correlation between how many homes they have for sale versus the prices right now. No surprise, they have a ton of inventory, now 11,000 homes for sale. That's a 9-year high by far. If you look back, just look back over the last 9 years, they did not have a year where they had this many homes for sale at all. So inventory is absolutely ballooning there to the point that prices are cratering. And now back to Essex County, New York, where prices are down 9% year over year. The 2-year change in home values down 8.5%. Prices, they're definitely struggling. Let's look at inventory, see if that tells us what's happening. Well, you can see here, inventory of homes for sale now up 16% year over year. So they have more inventory than last year. But if you look closer, you can tell that they're approaching pre-pandemic levels of inventory, now 299 homes on the market. So again, more inventory, lower prices. Let's keep going, see what else we can find as we tour the US. Let's head down south into Texas, Travis County, Texas, which is basically Austin. Home prices in serious trouble there, down 7% year over year, but down 23% in the last 3 years, down from their peak in 2022 when home prices hit their all-time high in Austin or Travis County. They're down, are you ready for this? 24%. When I dig into the inventory numbers in Travis County, it's insane how much home inventory has grown, up 70% since 2019. Unbelievable. Up 14% year over year. And they basically now have a 9-year high of homes for sale. The situation in Travis County, Texas is not good. Now the District of Columbia may be beat down by Doge, not sure, but prices are down 4% year over year, down 11% in 3 years. In fact, they're down over the last 5 years. You have to go 6 years back to see a price increase year over year for Washington, D.C. But what about inventory there? Is that telling the story of home prices? Well, look at this map. You can see here's the District of Columbia, this little green spot here, and around it is mainly brown, meaning most of the areas around Washington, D.C. have lower inventory levels than they did versus the pre-pandemic. But in Washington, D.C., that story is flipped. Look at this. Inventory of homes for sale up 71% since 2019. Wow. And again, a 9-year high of supply. So sellers there in DC are hurting. Home prices have fallen off a cliff in Denver County, Colorado, down 10% in the last 3 years, down 5% year over year. The carnage, the home price declines, they just keep going in Denver County. And why would that be? You guessed it. Inventory, the number of homes for sale up 50% since 2019. Crazy levels of inventory there now. 3,336 homes on the market. That is a 9-year high, just like we saw in Texas. So it sounds like buyers have all the control in Denver County. But I'm curious what's happening in your market. Let me know. Are buyers or sellers in control? Are you shopping for a home right now? Or maybe you just bought one and got a significant discount. I'd like to know. And stick with me because in a couple minutes, I'm going to show you a few areas where the Airbnb bust is busting out prices. But first, let's look at the OC, Orange County, California. Home prices are resilient there, to say the least, up 1.2% year over year. In the last 3 years, up 13%. In 6 years, they're up, are you ready for this? 63% in the OC. Inventory is firmly in control of the market, like it is almost everywhere. Down, not up, down 33% since the pandemic. They have fewer homes for sale now than they did in 2019. Fewer homes, higher prices. Now, we all know that Airbnb descended and infested the Phoenix market. And now Maricopa County is paying the piper. Look at this. Home prices down 4% year over year, down 10% in the last 3 years. And it's no surprise that that Airbnb inventory is probably hitting the market because the year over year change in the number of homes for sale is up 31%, up 28% since pre-pandemic. And I'm guessing it's nearly a 9-year high. It is. Look at this, 14,000 units right now. I mean, actually, it is a 9-year high. And that's not just a coincidence. That's what happens when more inventory, particularly distressed, maybe Airbnb sellers, have to put their homes on the market in mass numbers. You're going to see price decline. But remember, I told you at the beginning, the pain is not everywhere, obviously. There are markets that are increasing in home prices, like Westchester County, New York, very ritzy area. Many have claimed that inventory has exploded there and prices have crashed. Let's find out. Westchester County, New York shows a 1-year price change of 4% up year over year. 2-year change 10%, 3-year change 11%, 4-year change 21%. Let's check out inventory because that drives prices. Well, looking at real data, it doesn't appear like there's any inventory in Westchester County, New York. Look at this. Inventory is down 65% since before the pandemic. It's actually flat year over year, meaning there are the same number of homes on the market this year that they had last year. I mean, back in 2019, Westchester County, New York had 4,000 homes on the market. Flash forward to today, 1,400. So I wouldn't look for prices to decline much at all in Westchester County unless they add a lot of inventory fast. The Pacific Northwest can't hide from the doom as we see Washington County, Oregon, right near Portland, down 1.5% year over year, but down 4.4% in the last 3 years. So you know that sellers are definitely feeling some panic in Washington County, Oregon. Let's look at inventory because that'll really tell us the story. The number of homes in Washington County, Oregon has skyrocketed, up 33% year over year, up 17% since before the pandemic. And again, they're at a 9-year high of supply. And buyers most certainly have an advantage in Washington County, Oregon. But comment below, do you think buyers will continue to gain purchasing power and leverage as we move through the end of 2025? Let me know in the comments. Tennessee was bound to suffer at some point, and they are in Memphis. In Shelby County, Tennessee, you're down 4% in the last 3 years. You're down about 2% in the last year in home values. Maybe distressed Airbnb sellers, maybe mom and pop landlords, maybe overextended homeowners. Not sure, but let's look at the inventory, see if that has exploded. It sure has. Up 64% since 2019, up 20% year over year. The hits just keep on coming where these markets are showing major weakness and even crashing because of exploding, ballooning out of control inventory. Now, staying in Tennessee, we can see that Williamson County, just south of Nashville, actually has prices growing, not crashing. In fact, in the last 6 years, home values have skyrocketed an insane 70%. And they haven't fallen at all in the last 6 years. As you can see, they're up 0.9% right now, year over year. And a big reason for that is inventory. It's up 21% year over year, but down 4% since pre-pandemic. And so while they are gaining inventory, it's not enough to cause a price crash yet. Honestly, I'm surprised by the resilience of Nashville. Are you? It finally happened, and no shocker to this housing nerd, that Mecklenburg County, basically the Charlotte, North Carolina area, is finally showing year-over-year price decline, now down 1%. Now, they're still up 61% in the last 6 years, so don't get it twisted. It's not like the home values have fallen off a cliff compared to a few years ago, but the price growth is definitely slowing. And it makes sense because when I look at the inventory levels there, you can see they're barely above pre-pandemic levels at 5% more homes for sale than they had in 2019. And inventory is actually up 38% year over year. So they are gaining inventory, and that's probably finally causing home prices to decline. Now, we looked at Westchester County, New York, and we know that home prices continue to go up there, but look at Kings County, New York. They're going up even more, up 4.6% year over year. In the last 6 years, though, this is the weird one, they've only grown 14%. So home prices aren't up 60% there like they are in other areas of the U.S., like we just saw in Charlotte, right? But they do have year-over-year price growth that's trending higher than the national average. You tell me what you think about that. And when I look at inventory, it's kind of painting the picture. Compared to pre-pandemic, Kings County, New York has 12% fewer homes for sale. They're only up 3.1% in the number of homes for sale year over year, only 3.1%. So this one is really weird. They consistently seem like they're growing home prices. They didn't have an explosion during COVID like we saw in many areas of the U.S. And I think this is like the Bronx area of New York City, but they definitely don't have a 9-year high of supply. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, some areas continue to fall and add to their crash numbers, but some areas are just starting to show declines, like San Diego. Look at this, home prices now down 3% year over year. That's the first time the year over year decline has shown up in the last 6 years. Home values up about 56% compared to 6 years ago in San Diego. Now, if I look at the inventory, it's telling me the story, folks. Look at this, down 10% since pre-pandemic and up 37% year over year. So while they are growing the number of homes for sale, they still have fewer homes than they did in 2019. Maybe that explains why prices are just starting to decline year over year in San Diego County. Now, this next one is pretty unique. Cook County, Illinois, where they really didn't get the crash memo, at least not yet. 1-year home price change up 2%, 3-year change up 8%. In 6 years, they're up 33%, not 60%. So maybe that's another indicator we could look at is, hey, if home prices didn't run up to 60, 70%, chances are you may not crash like you are in some of these areas where home prices went nuts in a short period of time. You let me know what you think about that. But now let's look at inventory there, see if we can find any correlation at all. Well, inventory is down. Are you ready for this? Since 2019, down 58% in Cook County, Illinois, year over year down 1%. They have fewer homes for sale in Chicago than they did last year. Believe it. And I mean, they're not even close to the level of inventory needed to cause some type of massive price decrease. Look at this, 8,771 homes. Back in August of 2017, they had 20,000 homes for sale. Wow. Airbnb completely descended into the Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia market, and home prices are reflecting that glut of investor speculation. 1-year change in home values down 4% 2-year change only down 2%. So I guess that's some good news, I suppose. 3-year change down 3%. Make no mistake, you've got major price problems in Fulton County, Georgia. I suspect that's going to continue. Let's look at inventory, though. Find out if that's given us some clues as to why there's carnage. They don't have a 9-year high of inventory in Fulton County, but it's almost there. 6,100 units right now. 9-year high was 6,936 units. They're down still 12% from pre-pandemic, but they're up 17, almost 18% year over year. And one has to wonder, will we see further price declines from the Airbnb bust? Tell me what you think. Another area with a lot of vacation rentals, Airbnb, second homes from boomers maybe, is Providence, Rhode Island. Home prices there are resilient. Look at that. Up 3% year over year. In the last 6 years, they're up 65. That's right, 65%. Unbelievable. Does inventory indicate that the market's going to crash in Providence, Rhode Island? Let's find out. If you're waiting for a housing market crash in Providence, Rhode Island, the good news is inventory is up there 35% year over year. You can see last year they had 532 homes. Now they've got 717 homes. So it's up. That's good. But look at this. You're down 50. I'll say it again from the cheap seats, 50% down in inventory versus pre-pandemic. That's not good if you're waiting on a crash. Look at this. August 2017, you had nearly 1,500 homes on the market. Now, 717. Now let's head out west again to La La Land, Los Angeles County, California, finally seeing a year-over-year price decline of 1%. And the 6-year change in home prices, 41%. So LA may be cooling finally. But what about inventory? Well, they're up 7% since 2019. So more homes versus pre-pandemic. Remember, that is a good indicator of where prices could go. Now, look at the year-over-year change, 35%. So they are definitely gaining inventory. I mean, right now, they've got about 15,000 homes on the market. Look at this. Back in 2021, they only had 8,600 homes on the market, but now they're at a 9-year high. Let's take a 6-hour plane ride from LAX, done it many times, to Honolulu County, Hawaii. What's happening in the islands? Well, down 1.7% year over year, down 5% in the last 3 years. With home values, they're just not feeling the vibe out there in Honolulu with home values anymore. And what about inventory? Up 9% since 2019 pre-pandemic and up 23% year over year. And so right now they've got 3,373 homes on the market. That's a 9-year high. You notice in a pattern, 9-year high inventory, price decline. Now let's stay in the islands for a second. It's nice out there. And look at Maui County, where home values are down 6% year over year. And no shocker, inventory has exploded up 44% since pre-pandemic levels. There must be tons of homes on the market in Maui. For a completely different area of the U.S., we're going all the way out to Cleveland, Believeland, Cuyahoga County, Ohio, where home prices are up not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5% year over year, up 60% in the last 6 years. Ohio is iron tough when it comes to home prices during this shift that we're seeing throughout the U.S. There are areas of the state, though, where prices are starting to crack. And I live in Ohio. I have a second YouTube channel called The Ohio Housing Nerd. If you want more on the Ohio housing market, you should check out that channel. But let's look at inventory in Cleveland to see what's going on in the Cuyahoga County market. Look at this. Unbelievable. Down 40% since 2019 in the number of homes for sale, only up 22% year over year. They are gaining inventory, though. Look at this. Let's find out. Yeah. 2,253 homes for sale, not even close to a 9-year high. Again, noticing a trend with this inventory and pricing thing. We're going to go one state to the east, out to Pennsylvania, Montgomery County, which is really close to the Philadelphia area. Home prices have no sense of reality. They don't want to cooperate at all with the national narrative of a price crash. They're up 3% year over year. In the last 6 years, they're up 50%. And it's a big shocker to everyone, I'm sure, that inventory there is not great. Down 56% since 2019. They have basically nothing on the market compared to just 5 years ago. I mean, look at this. They're finally just getting over 1,000 listings. Back in 2017, they had nearly 3,000 listings. Can you believe that? Now, just for fun, I decided to figure out where home prices have fallen the most in the last few years out of every county in the U.S. If you can guess what it is, put it in the comments below. Can't figure it out? I'll tell you. Crockett County, Texas, home values have fallen, plummeted, crashed, burned down 51% in 3 years. 51%. It's important to point out that they don't have that many homes on the market. So with just, a handful of homes, it's easy to see a huge swing in prices. But nonetheless, that came in at number one as far as home price decline when I look at all the counties in the U.S. So now what? You have all these counties that are declining with home values and a lot that are still up, as we saw today. The more of the story is you got to pay attention to your local market with active inventory. That's the key. That's the key to unlock what's happening or what could happen to home prices in your neighborhood. Watch how many homes are on the market, look historically and find out how many did we have in 2017? How many did we have in 2020? How many homes do we have on the market now? That will give you the pace and the key to understanding your local market, maybe better than any other stat. Now, if you learned something today, hit the like button, share this video with someone else. It's a huge update, right? And subscribe to The Housing Nerd, for goodness sakes. And YouTube thinks you're going to love this next video right here.